Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. In this podcast, we'll be talking about affirmations. And as usual, I'll start this podcast off with a quote. Instead of worrying about what you cannot create or what you cannot control, shift your energy to what you can create. And that's a quote by Roy T. Bennett. So I know like a lot of people have probably heard about affirmations, like making statements and like creating situations and ushering, the circumstances that you want into your life. And I don't know if you believe that or not, but it's actually a very good practice. And it's good for a number of reasons. It's not hocus pocus and, all of this stuff that some people like play it down to be, but it's very simple. Our thoughts become things. It all starts in the mind, as we've talked about and we've discussed in previous podcasts. So when we make these affirmations, we make these statements to ourselves, repeatedly, even if we don't believe them at first, if we keep saying them to ourselves, we keep repeating them and we keep ushering them into our life, then we're going to create that belief and create those circumstances in our life. In the Bible, it says faith without works is dead. So I mean, there's work that we have to do alongside of this. You can't just sit back and get something for nothing. But starting with these affirmations is also a way to create successful environment or help you to achieve the goal that you want to desire. Because as we've discussed in other podcasts, like we're not just attacking life on one plane. There's the physical, there's the mental, and there's the spiritual. So the physical is actually putting feet to your goal or actually like doing something, going out and getting it. And the mental is these affirmations. Your mind has to be in the right place. You have to be focused. You have to be determined. And you have to believe in what you're doing and the purpose behind what you're doing. You have to believe that, what you're trying to attain is obtainable and that, it's realistic. It can happen. If you don't believe that you can do it or it can happen, then there's no reason to do it in the first place, or you're not going to attain it because you don't have that belief. It's pretty straightforward and simple. Like thoughts become things. That's basically the root or the foundation of affirmations. It's not something crazy, some type of magical power or anything like that. It's simply thoughts become things. And then it plays off the law of attraction. What you constantly focus on, you attract into your life. So if you constantly focus on the positive, you'll attract the positive into your life. If you constantly focus on the negative, you'll bring the negative into your life. And it's all a product of our thinking. It's all a product of our thoughts and where we shift and send our energy to, what we focus our energy on. So what is an affirmation? This is the textbook definition, what I got off of Google. An affirmation is a declaration that something is true, a form of meditation or repetition, or an auto-suggestion. So usually the form that affirmations come in are I am statements, like I am this or I am that. And you repeat these statements over and over again several times a day, or in the morning when you just wake up, or at night right before you go to bed. Again, you create these statements to shift your thinking. If you're not a strong individual, you can wake up and you want to be stronger. You could wake up in the morning before you go to the gym. You say, I'm strong, I'm strong, I'm strong. You're going to the gym. You're saying, I'm strong, I'm strong, I'm strong, and you're putting in that work to get to that point. And then eventually your thoughts and your reality are going to align, because mentally you put yourself there and spiritually you put yourself there. So then over time, as we've talked about the power of compounding, it works both in the physical realm and in the mental realm, because the compounding effect of your positive thinking and your positive thoughts and your positive reinforcement, and the compounding effect of you taking action on a daily basis, going to the gym, eating right, putting the right things into your body, it's going to have the effect that you're trying to attain. You're going to build into that goal, and eventually you're going to obtain that goal or attain that goal. In actuality, an affirmation can be anything we say or think. An affirmation can be either positive or negative. So this works for us both. This works for us and against us. So everything that we say or do can be an affirmation. And you can be welcoming the circumstances that you don't want into your life. Every time you say, I have anger issues, or, I this always makes me angry and stuff like that. Just little things that we say can contribute in big ways into our lives. And that's why we always have to be stewards of our thoughts. We have to watch what we say and how we say it. Because even the little things that we're not paying attention to, the things that we just say jokingly, if we keep saying those over time, that's going to build up in our minds, and that's going to become the way that we are. Like, I used to say that, like, I'm scared of heights. I don't do heights and stuff like that. And I wouldn't put myself in situations to deal with heights or to, participate in activities with heights. But then when that time did come, like when I used to fly, or I had some type of leadership challenges that usually involved some type of high ropes course, or anything along the way, like, I would be terrified, because I already put it into the atmosphere. I put it up into the universe. I put it into my subconscious mind that I am scared of heights, and that every time, I dealt with heights, I froze. So everything that we say is feeding this constant loop of confirmation in our mind of who and what we are. And that's why we have to be stewards of our thoughts. We can't just say things without, any type of, what's the word, accountability for what we say. Like, we can't just put things out into the universe and, oh, it's just words, or, oh, I'm just joking, because thoughts become things. Our words are very, very powerful, and our words reflect, even if it's a joke, our words reflect some kind of truth that we believe, or something that we have internalized that we're expressing externally. So we need to watch what we say. All of our self-talk, our internal dialogue, is a stream of affirmations we have been repeating over the years. You're using affirmations at every moment, whether you're aware of it or not. You are affirming and creating your life experiences with every word and thought. It all begins in the mind. That's just what we went over. I've said before, it all begins in the mind. It all begins in the mind. And that's the reason for this podcast, because this podcast gets you to think in a different way. It shifts your perspective from, only focusing on external circumstances for change, or external circumstances for the reason why you're not doing what you're doing, to focusing everything on internal. It says in the Bible, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. You are a creator. You're made in the image of the creator. You can create the circumstances and the situations to make yourself successful. You're not a victim. Things don't just happen to you, or you happen to get lucky, or, it always happens that you fail and don't succeed. You are a creator. You can create the circumstances that you need, or you want, or you desire in your life. If you look at every actor, every athlete, anybody that's one of your role models, millionaires, whatever, they've created the circumstances for themselves to be where they're at by living a life that normal people don't live. In order to get what you want, you have to do what others won't. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but how many people are practicing millionaire habits on a daily basis? How many people are disciplining themselves not to spend money, just unwisely, not doing the right things, not saving money, not opening up, investment accounts and stuff like that, all because they think, like, when I get the money, then I'll do it. That's not how it starts. It starts with forming the habits first, and then the habits usher in that type of lifestyle. So what we have to do is we have to create the habits and the environment for us to be successful, for us to achieve the dreams and the desires and the goals that we want. And the way that we do that, the way I believe that we do that, is we focus on the internal first. If we get our internal environment situated, then our external environment will reflect that, because ultimately our external environment is a reflection of our internal selves. So we project who and what we are. And the way we project who and what we are by the habits we practice on a daily basis, by the thoughts that we say and the self-talk that we say to ourselves on a daily basis, by what we read, the music we listen to. Like, we have all types of inputs that we're receiving through our five senses. And those inputs help us to form thoughts and and ideas and just help us to become who we are. So it's important that we watch our thoughts and we watch the type of stimulus and input that we get into our life. And we also need to watch the things that we put into the universe, because our subconscious is always listening. The universe is always listening. And whether we put out something we don't want or we do want, the universe is set up to give us that. So we have to situate ourselves to be in a receptive place to receive that, but we also have to be ready for it. Because if we get what we want but we're not ready for it, then we're just going to squander it. Like if you get money right now and you're not mentally situated financially to be in control of those large sums of money that you want, you may obtain that money, but then you may just lose it because you don't know how to utilize it properly. Affirmations are just one of the many things that you can do to get your internal environment ready, to get your internal environment right. Just like I said, everything is connected. This is just another step, another way to build upon the things that we've talked about: positive thinking, controlling your mind, controlling your emotions, not letting somebody else have the pen to write your story, you writing your own story, not focusing on stuff that other people are doing or the chapter that another person is in. All stuff that we've discussed. If you just look at basically what I want from my podcast and what I want for you to understand is that everything is interconnected, or it's like a staircase. So we talk about this, we talk about this, we talk about this, and they're not isolated conversations. They're not isolated incidences. They're all part of the whole. So in order to achieve success, you have to climb the ladder. You have to climb the ladder of success to get to success. And along the way, everything that I try to discuss or try to share with you is just another rung on the ladder. It's just another piece of it, and they're not isolated. They're not individual tasks or things to do. They all work together for the ultimate good. And basically the premises of what I'm trying to share with you is that it all starts with the mind. Like everything else is part of it, but ultimately it all starts with the mind. If we could change how we think, the habits we do, what we say, what we do, the reason why we doing it, like focus on something singularly, like our drive or our purpose for what we're doing or what we wake up in the morning. If we can get our mental and internal environment straight, then everything else will flow. It'll all be easy. And I say that, with confidence, because I've seen so much growth in my life through, reading and affirmations and listening to positive music and meditating. Everything that we've talked about, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I realize that, and I'm not trying to put on a persona that I'm an enlightened, ultimately achieved person and all of this other stuff. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm a whole lot further than where I was. And that's the goal, because life is a journey, and we're all trying to just get to what we want to be or where we want to be in life, for our family, for ourselves, for, the world, for our community. We all have our reasons, but we have to climb that ladder. And then when we climb that ladder, we can reach back and we can help somebody else climb that ladder. But we have to do it first. You have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anybody else. By practicing affirmations, we are constantly choosing words that will either help us eliminate something from our lives or create something in our lives. You can create wealth or you can create poverty. You could say, I'm always broke. I never have money. I'm always struggling. I don't get paid enough. You can have that mindset, and having that mindset, and if you believe that's true, then your external world will reflect that. You won't be able to get enough hours at work. You'll always be spending money. Things will always be tight. You have to believe that the opposite of that is true. You have to consciously be aware of what you're ushering into your life, the words that you're saying, the thoughts that you're putting on repeat in your mind. You have to be aware of all of that stuff. So instead of saying I'm always broke, or I never have enough money. You could say, on a daily basis, I'm getting better at managing my money. New opportunities are coming available to me on a daily basis. You know, and say that over and over again, multiple times a day and every day until things start to get better. But faith without works is dead. So you also got to put footsteps to it too. You got to give your dreams legs. So maybe look for a new job that helps you get a higher salary, or find a second job that can, you know, add to your income. Or, I mean, there's tons of different things you could do as far as that scenario is concerned. But again, nothing starts without it first being created or developed in the mind. Everything that it ever is or was first created in the mind. You look at every building, every machine, every rocket, every airplane, every machine gun, like everything that ever is or ever was at one point someone's dream. Someone had a vision of it, and then they gave that vision legs. And it's the same thing with affirmations. Like, these are the thoughts that you continually think on a daily basis that get your
Your
internal
tasks
environment
are
situated
meditate,
so
journal,
that
workout.
your dreams and your goals can become things. They can become physical. They can be in a tangible world as opposed to just in your thoughts. Positive affirmations are very powerful and important because they release us from negativity and the host of emotions associated with it. Again, when you think negative, there's emotions that are associated with that. And emotions are energy. So if you're always talking about how you're broke, how you don't have money, how nobody at your job cares about you and stuff like that, then you start getting the emotions that are attached with that ideology. So you start getting depressed, you start feeling anxious, you start feeling angry, you get sad and stuff like that. Affirmations are a way to also put a leash on our emotions. Like, instead of saying, all negative thoughts like my job hates me or this, whatever, you could say that you could just change it for the positive. You could be like, on a daily basis, my job is becoming a friendly environment, and because of that, I am becoming a more happy person. I enjoy what I do on a daily basis. It's just simply positive thoughts. It's just a shifting of your perspective and your mindset towards the positive. And like attracts like. So if you have a positive mindset, you're going to usher in positivity around you. It might not be immediately, but it will happen indefinitely. But it has to start with you. You can't get something from nothing. You're not just going to generate something out of nothing. You have to, like, usher it in, create that environment. And it might not be instantaneous. It might not happen right away. It might happen, a week from now, a month from now. It might happen a couple years from now. But you got to plant that seed. You got to plant that seed and then have faith that it will grow, and keep watering that seed. You can't just plant that seed for a certain amount of time and stop watering it. You have to water it over time. You have to continue provide nutrients to it, giving it faith and hope, and then eventually that seed will bud. But it has to start with you, and you have to be consistent. The reason that affirmation help with negativity and its associated emotions is because when these affirmations are repeated over and over again, they begin to take charge of our thoughts, slowly changing your pattern of thinking and ultimately changing your life. Your life is a reflection of your thoughts. Thoughts become things. So, how we continually think in turn turns into the habits that we form, and the habits that we form dictate the life that we live. So again, it all starts in the mind. And if we start our day off, start our thinking off with positivity, like these affirmations, then those thoughts become patterns, and the patterns are our habits, and our habits turn into our life. So this is how we can change our life, is by starting shifting our mindset from what doesn't serve us to what does serve us. And affirmations are a way to do that. Affirmations ultimately becomes your beliefs. Your beliefs are merely habitual thinking patterns, but they can be relearned. So if you were growing up as a child and you had the belief that you were stupid, you were dumb, or you were fat, or you were slow, those beliefs become patterns like we've discussed. So all you have to do is shift your thinking to what you want or what you desire. Like, you might not have it today, but you can be that. You know, you may not have been smart in the past or exhibited intelligent behavior, but you can always read, you can always study, you can always take classes and learn from people. And it may not come as easy for some people, but if you want it, you'll find a way to get it. Like, if you suffer from some type of diagnosis that inhibits or makes it difficult for you to learn or for you to obtain knowledge, there's a way that you can go and get it. You just have to figure out how it's going to work for you. um it's all about you. I mean, you're your biggest motivator and you're your biggest parachute. Like, you're the biggest person that's going to pull you back. Like, nobody else can dictate how far you go or how far you don't go, because it's ultimately up to you. I know a lot of times, external circumstances seem like they're building up against us, and things just seem like they aren't set up for us to win. But at the end of the day, you have to step back, detach yourself, and reevaluate. How much control do I have in this situation, honestly? And then go from there and move into a direction that serves you. Shift your thinking first and foremost. Like, I do have control. This is my life. I'm in charge of it. No one else is. And then from taking a hold of your life, taking a hold of your thoughts, you could then shift everything else after that into a positive realm, or into a realm that now directs that energy that you're exerting into this life, into the world, into a new and positive direction, which will ultimately form habits, lead to habits, and then those habits will lead to a life change. So I was just going through the internet, doing a little bit of research here and there, and I found a article. I did find an article on the Louis Hay website that was entitled "The Power of Affirmations." And while I was reading through the article, there was this one quote that just stood out, amongst the rest of the article. And the author stated that, "Please realize that every complaint is an affirmation of something you think you don't want in your life. Every time you get angry, you're affirming that you want more anger in your life. Every time you feel like a victim, you're affirming that you want to continue to feel like a victim. If you feel that life isn't giving you what you want in the world, then it's certain that you will never have the goodies that life gives to others, that is. Until you change the way you think and talk, you won't have what you want." So, I mean, basically, she sums up what we've talked about in this whole podcast in one quote. Thoughts becomes things. Thoughts become things. And it's vitally important that we're a steward of the things that we say, because the things that we say become the actions that we exhibit. Thoughts lead to feelings, which lead to actions, which lead to results. That's the T4 model. So your thoughts influence your feelings influence your actions, and your actions determine the results that you get in life. So if you want to change the direction that you're heading in life, or change the way that you exist or maneuver in life, then we need to change our thoughts, because that's the first step in the process. And then once we change our thoughts, it'll have a domino effect to influence our actions. And ultimately, affirmations are a great way to start and do that.